Okay, let's just dive right in. Today, we are unpacking a set of principles that, I mean, have shaped strategy for centuries. Robert Greene's huge work, The 48 Laws of Power.
And this deep dive, it's built on a collection of observations, really, all drawn from history. We're talking ancient Rome, court life, and Renaissance Europe.
All detailing how people get power, how they keep it, or, how they lose it in spectacular fashion.
Right. And our mission today is super clear. We are not here to judge the morality of any of this. Not at all. We're here to understand the mechanics of power as the source material lays them out.
So you, the learner, get a kind of strategic shortcut to some of history's toughest lessons, often pretty ruthless lessons.
And what's really central to the whole philosophy, I think, is this idea that power isn't natural. It's not a trait you're born with.
It's a skill, a performance almost.
Exactly. And mastering it, well, that takes incredible patience, control over how you're perceived, and yeah, often a very strategic use of deception.
Which brings us right to the first and maybe the most important law, the absolute foundation.
The one that everything else is built on. Law number 1, never outshine the master.
It sounds so simple, right? But the book claims this is the one people break all the time.
Constantly. And the fallout can be catastrophic. The idea is you just can't eclipse the person above you. The source is very direct about this. Any show of superiority is seen as a fatal threat by your superior.
You make them feel insecure. You're basically inviting your own ruin.
The analogy they use is just perfect. Think about the stars in the sky. They might be brilliant, just as brilliant as the sun, but you never see them in the sun's company. The lesson is to strategically fade into the background.
So you make the master, the sun, seem even brighter.
Precisely. You find ways to heighten their intensity. Your great ideas, they should always seem like just a small refinement of their genius, never a replacement for it.
But hold on, how does that actually work in, say, a modern office? Where you're told to innovate and be a star player.
It's all about timing and how you frame it.
So you don't hide your big idea.
No. You present it as the logical next step in your manager's grand vision. You let them take the credit. You let them feel like they're the source of the brilliance. Your value isn't gone. It's tied to their own success.
That makes the reversal, the caveat to this law, even more interesting. What if your boss, your master, is what the book calls a falling star?
Ah, yes. If they're weak, incompetent, already on their way down, then the advice is to show no mercy.
Wow.
Yeah. You basically accelerate their decline, let nature take its course. If you're smart about it, you'll outlive them and eventually outshine them. But you have to be absolutely sure the foundation is crumbling first. It's a constant calculation.
Loyalty when they're strong, ruthlessness when they're weak.
That's the game.
Okay, so that's the internal dynamic. What about your external image? Let's get into the art of appearance and perception. Because it seems like the image you project is everything.
It's the only reality that matters, which is why Law 6 is about commanding attention at all costs. The source argues that notoriety of any kind brings you power.
So it's better to be attacked than to just be ignored.
Being ignored is death. Obscurity is the enemy.
This is P.T. Barnum, right? The great showman. He was a master of this.
The total master. He didn't just market his circus, he marketed himself. He even, stopped hiding his tricks. He revealed some of his deceptions in his own autobiography.
Why would he do that?
Because he knew that creating buzz, even scandalous buzz, meant he controlled what people were talking about. He understood that deep down, the world wants to be deceived.
So you have that theatricality on one hand, but then you have Law 4, which seems to be the complete opposite. Always say less than necessary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How can you grab the spotlight but also stay quiet?
Right. It feels like a contradiction. Be noticed, but be silent. How do you balance that?
The balance is in calculated visibility. Your presence is memorable, but your words are few and ambiguous. Look at Louis XIV, the Sun King.
Famously quiet.
Right?
Yeah.
His ministers would come to him with these long, detailed requests, and he would just listen, silently, his expression giving nothing away.
That silence was a tool, wasn't it? A weapon.
Absolutely. No one knew what he was thinking, so what happened? The minister started talking more, they'd reveal their own agendas, their fears, their weaknesses, all just trying to fill that silence.
So he's gathering intel without saying a word.
He's forcing them to expend all their energy while he conserves his. It gave him this incredible psychological power.
And that silence ties right into Law 3. Conceal your intentions.
Of course. If people don't know your real goal, they can't possibly defend against it. The best way is misdirection.
The decoy.
You dangle some believable but false goal in front of them. They focus on that, they take that appearance for reality, and they completely miss what you're actually doing behind this powerful smokescreen you've created.
And all this work on appearance, it's all in service of Law 5. Guard your reputation with your life.
Because reputation is the cornerstone. It's your invisible armor. If it slips for even a second, you become vulnerable and you'll be attacked from all sides.
So you have to build your own reputation up while at the same time learning how to poke holes in your enemies.
Exactly. Look at General Erwin Rommel in North Africa, the Desert Fox. He built this reputation for being cunning and deceptive. That reputation alone created such fear in his opponents that it magnified his actual strength.
So his reputation was his power. It won battles for him.
Before a single shot was fired. Just because people anticipated his brilliance.
So we move from how you present yourself to how you use other people. This next set of laws is all about dependency.
And Law 11 is so critical here. Keep people dependent on you. This is a much higher form of security than just having money or a fancy title.
It's not just about being good at something, is it? It's about making yourself indispensable.
Right. You don't want to just be the best coder. You want to weave yourself into the fabric of the organization so that cutting you out would cause like a total collapse.
You become essential.
Think about Michelangelo. The Pope was completely dependent on his singular godlike skill. He knew Michelangelo was irreplaceable.
And that gave the artist security, no matter how difficult he was.
Dependency is control. Simple as that.
But once you have that control, you sometimes have to do the messy stuff. Which brings us to Law 26. Keep your hands clean.
This one is so important because, again, power is all about appearances. The person in charge must seem to never make mistakes, never act out of malice. The solution? Proxies.
The book calls them cat's paws.
It's an old medieval term, yeah. You use other people or organizations to do your dirty work so your own hands stay symbolically clean. And if something goes wrong,
You do scapegoat.
you find a scapegoat. There's this brutal example of the General Chow Tao. His soldiers were rumbling because of a food shortage. He couldn't afford to look weak or incompetent.
So what did he do?
He took a junior clerk, publicly accused him of stealing grain, and had him executed. To his troops, he looked wise and fair, dealing with corruption swiftly, but really, he was just covering for his own failure.
That's dark. It's all about controlling the action.
Yeah.
And speaking of control, Law 8 is about shifting the entire dynamic. Make others come to you.
If you're always the one going to meetings, making the calls, approaching people, you're signaling neediness. Your power is diminished.
You're emptying your own force.
Right. But the person who makes others come to them immediately seems more powerful. They demand respect just by staying put.
Like the architect Brunelleschi in Florence.
Perfect example. The city officials hired a rival to work with him. So what did he do? He just stopped working. He went home.
Forcing them to come to him.
They came begging because they realized the rival was useless without him. That's the principle of emptiness and fullness. When you make opponents come to you, they use up the energy, their momentum, you stay full of power, and you set the terms.
That control over the dynamic is a great transition to the long game. The idea of foresight. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end.
Most people, they plan 1 or 2 moves ahead. They dream about the victory, the happy ending.
But they don't think about what comes after that.
They don't. They don't calculate all the possible consequences, the new problems that success will bring. The book says the further you can see, the more steps ahead you plan, the more powerful you become.
It's what the source calls the Janus-like gaze.
Right, like the Roman god Janus with 2 faces. You have to look backwards into the past, into history, to learn from everyone else's mistakes. And at the same time, you're looking forward, mapping out the future.
And not doing that is fatal. The Athenians attacking Sicily.
A classic case. They were obsessed with the glory and the riches they would win, the happy ending. They didn't properly plan for the dangers of an invasion so far from home, the supply lines, the politics.
They mistook tactics for strategy.
And it led to their complete undoing.
So when conflict does come up, you need specific tools. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter.
You can almost always trace trouble back to one single strong individual. The ringleader, the malcontent, the person stirring the pot.
And the advice is to be surgical.
Don't waste your time trying to win over the followers, the sheep. You neutralize the influence of the leader. Isolate them, banish them, whatever it takes. Strike the source and the group falls apart.
But what if the problem is small? Something annoying, but not a real threat. Law 30 advises you to play the contemptuous aristocrat.
It's a very sophisticated move. If you react to every little insult, you just give it importance. You waste your energy. But by showing total disdain, by turning your back on it, you cancel it out.
Like King Henry VIII and the Pope.
Exactly. The Pope threatens to excommunicate him over his divorce. Henry doesn't negotiate, he shows contempt, he just ignores the threat and breaks away from the Catholic Church entirely.
He dictates the terms by refusing to even engage.
What you refuse to engage with can't drag you down.
But the biggest danger, as we saw with the Athenians, isn't from enemies. It's from your own success. Law 47. Do not press past the goal you aimed for.
Victory is so intoxicating, it's an incredibly dangerous drug.
A deep psychological trap.
It is. Success makes you emotional. It makes you feel invincible. And that leads to arrogance, to aggressive moves you don't need to make, which undo the very victory you just won.
Like Cyrus the Great.
After conquering the Persians, he was on top of the world. He got arrogant, launched a totally unnecessary war against a remote tribe, and got himself killed. His empire unraveled almost immediately.
So the truly powerful know when to stop.
They vary their rhythms, they know when to push, and just as importantly, when to consolidate.
That idea of control brings us to the final section. Strategically building your own identity.
And Law 25 is huge here. Recreate yourself. You do not accept the roles that society or your background tries to force on you.
Instead, you forge a new identity, one that demands attention. It's about making your character seem larger than life, like Julius Caesar.
Caesar didn't just win battles, he built a whole political persona. He used lavish games, theatrical public events. He cultivated this image of himself as a brilliant public showman.
And this isn't just for men, is it? The example of George Sand.
Right. She wore men's clothes, smoked cigars. Not because she wanted to be a man, but because she wanted the power to define her own character, to defy the limits placed on female writers at the time. She manufactured an identity that gave her freedom.
So you build this big identity, but then Law 48 says to assume formlessness. How do you be both larger than life and unpredictable?
By never having a fixed pattern. If your moves become predictable, you're a target. You have to keep people guessing. Think of Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle.
Against George Foreman, everyone expected Ali to dance, the classic Ali style.
Everyone, including Foreman. But instead, Ali broke his own pattern. He used the rope-a-dope, leaned back on the ropes, and let Foreman punch himself out. It unsettled Foreman so deeply that he became vulnerable.
That ability to adapt, to be formless, that's what the source calls genius.
Yes, and while you're managing your own performance, you have to be looking for weaknesses in others. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Find their Achilles heel.
You're looking for their passions, their obsessions, the things they can't control.
Right. The stronger the passion, the more vulnerable the person. It could be a need for praise, a weakness for gambling, anything.
And the book makes this really fascinating psychological point. The emotions people display most strongly often mask their biggest weaknesses.
The most theatrical displays of aggression or confidence are often just compensation. A man's obsessive need to conquer women, for example, might reveal a huge underlying insecurity.
And those are the emotions you can control.
Because they're predictable. You can control the person by feeding that uncontrollable need.
So we've gone through a lot here. What's the final takeaway? The core lesson from this deep dive seems to be that power isn't a thing you have. It's a skill you learn.
It absolutely is. It's a learned skill that requires intense patience, strategic perception, and managing emotion, your own and everyone else's.
And understanding these laws, these patterns, it's a way to understand human behavior.
It's a typology of human behavior. You learn to recognize the archetypes, the stir, the cat's paw, the master, the sheep. Understanding them is vital for prediction, for survival in any complex group. It's a shortcut.
The ultimate synthesis seems to be avoiding emotional decisions, avoiding complacency.
Precisely. We learn that good luck is often more dangerous than bad luck. Bad luck humbles you. It teaches you patience. It prepares you.
But good luck.
Good luck deludes you. It makes you think your brilliance will last forever. It makes you reckless. And when your fortune inevitably turns, you're totally unprepared and you get wiped out.
Which brings us to the final provocative thought for you, the learner. A paradox, really. If you look at your own life right now, what area of success are you most unprepared to handle when the tide inevitably turns?
That is the question that should keep you up at night.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the mechanics of power. Reflect on these laws, and we'll see you next time.